changing your life one story at a time. This is the Chicken Soup for the Soul podcast with Editor-in-Chief Amy Newmark.
Hey, it's Amy Newmark with your daily dose of Chicken Soup for the Soul inspiration to make you simply happy. It's Tip Tuesday, and today I want to talk about what happens when mothers just keep on powering through whatever medical crises they are enduring and how that affects and inspires their children. Because mothers are really strong, and it's one of the most cited reasons their kids are so in awe of them. Katrina Ann Willis tells us that her 83-year-old mother-in-law is a walking disaster. She's had 2 knee replacements, she has a metal rod inserted in her femur, and she's even had a liver transplant. There are also pins holding her wrist together, and she has really bad arthritis. With all of these problems, she moves slowly and carefully, but she hasn't stopped moving. In fact, she and Katrina's father-in-law attended their first Jimmy Buffett concert last summer, and they even sat on the lawn. Katrina says that her in-laws never say no to an invitation or a new adventure. If they can make it work, they're willing to try just about anything. When Katrina and her husband want them to come and stay with the kids, they actually have to get on their calendars well in advance. Katrina says that her mother-in-law never feels sorry for herself. She concedes that most everything hurts every day. But she says that she's discovered one important thing. It doesn't hurt one bit to smile. So she smiles at everyone. Now, we've talked about that many times on the podcast, how smiling at people is so easy, but so life-changing, because it changes how people react back to you. No matter how they're feeling and what they were about to say or do, if you smile at them, it's pretty hard for them to snap at you or be unfriendly or uncooperative. You change your own day by changing theirs. Katrina says it is such simple wisdom and such a profound shift. Her mother-in-law, instead of focusing on all the things she can't do because of her various infirmities, chooses to focus on what she can do, which is change her relationships with the world by smiling at everyone. And that's why we published her story in Chicken Soup for the Soul Think Possible, and then republished it in a special tribute we made called Chicken Soup for the Soul for Mom with Love. Now, Lisa Wright Dixon has a pretty amazing story about her own mom, which we published in Chicken Soup for the Soul, Tough Times, Tough People, and then republished in our For Mom with Love book. Lisa says she'll never forget the phone call that she received at work one morning. "Is this Miss Dixon?" The voice on the other end of the line sounded distant. "I'm calling from the Vineland Police Department." Lisa lived in South Carolina, but her mother and brother lived in Vineland, New Jersey. Lisa immediately knew this call was about something very bad. It turned out that her mother had been caught in a fire in her home and was burned on 70% of her body. She had been flown by helicopter to Philadelphia, and she was near death. As Lisa drove north, she reviewed all of her favorite memories of her mother, how her mom walked her to school, how she made her cookies. She also remembered how tough her mother could be, like the time that a little boy was teasing Lisa, and her mom went right up to the kid's mother and told her in no uncertain terms that her son had better knock it off. When Lisa got to the burn center, she found her mom wrapped head to toe in bandaging like a mummy. All that was showing were her eyes and nose. The next few months, her mother fought her way back from the brink of death. She was kept in a drug-induced coma because of the pain from the burns. During this time, she survived 2 bouts of pneumonia, the constant infections that plague burn survivors, numerous operations, and countless skin grafts. 4 months after the fire, the doctors decided it was time to bring Lisa's mother out of the coma. To help bring her around, the doctor suggested playing her favorite music and talking to her. Lisa spent 2 weeks talking to her mother, hoping she would wake up, but nothing happened. But then one morning, when Lisa returned to the hospital, she saw a bunch of smiling nurses, and she learned that her mother was awake and, in fact, was being helped into a wheelchair. When her mom looked up and saw Lisa, her face lit up and she smiled. Everyone started to clap, and Lisa started to sob with relief. It was a long journey from there, but Lisa's mom worked incredibly hard and she recovered. She had to relearn how to walk, talk, eat, dress herself, and do all those other things that we take for granted. Plus, she had to live with the permanent change to her appearance from the burns. People would often stare at her and ask what happened to her. It made Lisa very upset, but her mom took it in stride. What she cared about was that she was still alive, and that was what mattered. Lisa concludes her story by saying, "No matter what life brings to me, I try to remember to see the glass as half full. I owe it to my mom, who never gave up." I'm Amy Newmark. Thanks for listening to the Chicken Soup for the Soul podcast today. If you want to read the 2 stories I discussed today and 99 other great ones, pick up a copy of Chicken Soup for the Soul for Mom with Love at Rite Aid, Walmart, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and wherever else books are sold. And come back tomorrow for an inspiring story about a summer road trip and a father who defies his doctor and beats the odds so he can take one last trip with his daughter.